All right, so a quick peek behind the curtain to explain what I've been talking about so far here on the show. When July 1st rolls around and I officially begin prediction season here on Locked On College Football, as I have for the last several years since I've been hosting the show, I go through and make a giant spreadsheet, and I organize by conference, and I put each team, and I put their win total according to our friends at FanDuel, and then I put their schedule, and I go game by game, make my predictions. You've been listening to it for the last several weeks here on the show, and I can tell by the numbers, particularly on podcasts, by the way, that you guys are starting to get excited for the season, just like I am starting to get really excited for the upcoming season. So when I first put that sheet together, Georgia's win total was 9.5. Now, this was at least a month and a half ago, because I go through and I say, all right, I'm going to grab one of these teams. I'm going to grab a team from this conference. Like to give it a nice balance, right? Talked a little Big Ten earlier, a little SEC here, a little Group of Six later on today's show. Try to give it as good of a balance as I can when putting these shows together for you guys. So Georgia had a win total of 9.5. That was what I had in my note sheet. And then I looked at the schedule and went, this would be the easiest possible over. How could it be 9.5? And then I went to go double check with our friends at FanDuel, and yeah, they bumped it up to 10.5. And here's why. This is an incredibly manageable schedule. To me, this should be, by Georgia's standards, they have, in my view, one of the 5 best quarterbacks in college football in Gunnar Stockton. I'm higher on Gunnar Stockton than most. I think he's going to have a big season. They certainly need to replace Zachariah Branch in the receiving corps and be more consistent there. I fully expect Georgia, hot take, the 2-time reigning SEC champions to, wait for it, be back in that championship game once again. So they don't just only have 4 true road games, with the neutral side, of course, against Florida, but they've also got, wait for it. 3 games that are going to be, I'm just telling you now, they don't have the lines for all these games yet, but there are going to be 3 games with a single-digit point spread, or that have a chance to be a single-digit point spread. Doesn't mean Georgia will win them all. Ohio State lost in the playoff to Miami as a 9.5-point favorite. Stuff happens. Oklahoma on September 26th, Ole Miss on November 7th, Alabama on October 10th. Those are the 3 games. And you're telling me that to go over the win total, which has gone up from what it was before, it really gave me pause to even see that it was ever 9.5, because I'm going, what changed? What did I miss? What am I missing? This is Georgia. This is Kirby Smart. Same quarterback, elite roster. They have one of the highest blue chip ratios of their defensive line recruiting in the entire country over the last couple of cycles. Like, what are we talking about here? Is this still a good staff? Yeah, it is. You're telling me there was ever a chance? If you got on over 9.5, I mean, that feels like the lock of the year. 10.5 certainly feels dicier, because there are 3 games and 2 of them are on the road. They have to go to Alabama on October 10th and to Ole Miss after a rivalry game on November 7th. The rivalry game against Florida is on October 31st. So you can have an emotional letdown spot, depending on how challenging that game might actually be. I suspect Georgia will be a heavy favorite over Florida in that game. Georgia Tech is, they had a better chance to beat Georgia last year, and yeah, I don't think they're going to do that this year, because Georgia Tech is a pullback team to me. So between Oklahoma, Alabama, and Ole Miss, you telling me I only need Georgia to win 2? They could win all 3. I don't know that I'm that high. Haven't done the record yet, but I don't know that I'm that high in Alabama this year. I think Oklahoma is a good, solid 8-4 team, but I don't have a high level of faith that the Sooners will be back in the college football playoff this year. I can see it, but I don't have a high level of confidence in it. I think Ole Miss is really good. I also think Georgia's really good, and they played 2 games last year, and they were both really close. Now, the only time Georgia won, of course, that makes it seem like there were a number of games. the time that Georgia won, they were playing at home. They have to go to Ole Miss. Sure, that'll be tough. Is Ole Miss as good as last year? No. Talked about them last week on the show with Stephen Willis of Locked On Ole Miss. I think they are a 9-3, 10-2 sort of team, and I think they're good. I think people overlook them very easily. I like Ole Miss over their win total very easily. It's 7.5. But this is a schedule that I would frankly take Georgia to go 12-0 before I took them to go 11-1. And a huge part of that is indeed, I know it sounds counterintuitive, that I'm not that high in Alabama. And I know they beat them the first time around. And then when they played again, Georgia smacked them. One of those teams has their quarterback returning, and one of those teams does not. I think Georgia could very easily be 12-0. This is nowhere near one of the tougher SEC schedules. And look, they meet my requirement. They don't have the late season SEC cupcake. They've got 10 Power 4 opponents on there, but I mean, look at the second half of their or really most of their SEC schedule. It's kind of Notre Dame-esque. It's a significantly tougher schedule than Notre Dame. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to draw a direct parallel there. But the comparison that I think is adept is, for most college football fans, this Georgia schedule is going to be 3 games, maybe 4, that people tune into. Notre Dame's schedule is one that people are going to tune into for a handful of games outside of South Bend, Indiana. Like they're not going to tune in for Notre Dame thrashing North Carolina and Purdue. Like no, they're going to tune in to Miami, SMU. There's one other game in there that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but there are 3 games on Notre Dame's schedule. And BYU. Gosh almighty, how could I forget that one? It's one of the ones I'm most excited to watch this year. I'm really glad that came to me in real time. That would have been a bad one to omit. And I don't want to offend my good friends up in Provo because they're fantastic people up there. So, it's a 3-game schedule. This is a 3 to 4 game schedule for most fans for Georgia. But, Florida and then at Ole Miss, Missouri, at South Carolina, Georgia Tech. I think Georgia's going to roll. I think they are 11-1 or 12-0. I'll take them over 10.5 any day of the week. I don't have an over-under, unfortunately, for the team I'm talking about to wrap today's show, and I think I know why.